Edel's Alpine adventure. Edel arrived in the beautiful country of Switzerland. She wore her favorite sturdy boots and carried a colorful map. "I am ready to explore the high mountains and green valleys," she said with a big smile. The air smelled like fresh pine trees and cold snow. Suddenly, a large, fluffy dog with a friendly face trotted up to her. This was Urs, a brave mountain dog. Urs wagged his tail and let out a happy bark. He knew all the secret paths through the tall peaks and was happy to show Edel the way. Urs led the way toward the giant, pointy mountains called the Alps. They were so tall that their tops were covered in white, glittery snow, even in the summer. Urs stood on a rocky ledge and looked up at the highest peak, which looked like a giant tooth. As they walked through a meadow, they heard a musical sound. Clink, 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 clink. Edel found a brown cow grazing on the sweet grass. The cow wore a heavy, golden bell around its neck that jingled every time it took a bite. "I am hungry after all this walking," Edel said. She sat down and opened her lunch. She had a big piece of Swiss cheese. It was yellow and had many round, smooth holes inside. It tasted creamy and delicious, just like the mountain air. Next, they traveled to a city with cobblestone streets. Edel and Urs stopped in front of a very old, very tall tower. It was the Zytglogge clock. "Look, Urs," Edel pointed. As the clock struck the hour, little mechanical figures began to spin and dance. Near the clock tower, they found a shop that smelled like magic. Greta, the chocolate maker, stood behind the counter. She held out a tray of smooth, brown treats. "Swiss chocolate is the best in the world," Greta said with a wink. High on a hill, they met a man named Otto. He was holding a wooden horn that was so long it rested on the grass. Otto took a deep breath and blew into the alphorn. A deep, echoing sound filled the valley, ringing through the trees. To get back down the mountain, Edel and Urs hopped onto a bright red train. The train had big windows so they could see everything. It chugged along the tracks, climbing higher and higher through the clouds and over sparkling blue lakes. The sun began to set, turning the snowy mountains pink and orange. Edel gave Urs a big hug. "Thank you for the adventure," she whispered. She had learned that Switzerland was a place of giant mountains, sweet treats, and very kind friends.